Hello, this is Matthew here, and I'm just doing an update video of basically what I've been up to, more or less. What is it? This is in R.P.G Maker MB. It basically creating my game. This is a town green tree, whatever it made. It's one of many. Oh, is it? How this works is that I've been doing my own little setting, right? This model of the world here. For example, this is Illyria, which is a continent. There's three continents more or less. This is one. This is like the major continent, you know. So like your Europe, Asia, Africa. That's bigger than that. Um, so this is where the human kingdom is. Think of like the size of Europe. I made a more detailed map of this, political map of the human. Anyway, this is more for just helping out like the world building, right? You don't actually see this in games, kind of just whatever. But here's basically if I turn on the here we go. Oh, is it? These are the different provinces. There's looks like these like towns and stuff, you know, and this is I wanted to world build it so it doesn't like just randomly feel like not believable. It's everything has a purpose, you know, it lived in. More or less trying to within this isn't really made for making big games. RPG Maker MV, like for example, items there's only 2,000 of them. That's the thing. That's a lot. It's actually like you know, it's there's limitations we're getting at. Anyway, the first zone is basically like these two provinces combined just to make it. Why not just one? Because with two, it makes it so that the game progresses at a somewhat reasonable pace. It is not crazy to make. It's not crazy, insane to develop. So, how was it? If we go to a lot of maps here, anyway, it's not even it's a prototype of a prototype, really. So, for example, this one was actually. There we go. Oh, is it? See how this is basic prototype, early prototype. General shape of it's kind of modeled after. So zoom right there. Is it? See, it's basically kind of same similar shape. Anyway, whole point is that where is it? Mage foot. So this is the first like area you can kind of monkey around with, right? And you start in this place, which is actually let's see here, human starting this, right? So that's a bit, you know, this is what it looks like to play around with. There's enemies and stuff and whatnot, and there's different zones, like caves, the first like cave. Anyway, but yeah, you basically do like the starting area. It's to this place, and you get to level up. You know, the idea I wanted to go for was levels 1 to 100, and like end game was actually kind of like a bit more after that, but this engine can't handle it, so I had to do like 1 to 40, or basically 1 to 45 really. But even then, that's pushing it. That's like the so it's like I have to make chapters out of different things. So this place links up to this place. For example, I wanted this is even like scaled down. For example, the towns aren't quite done yet, but here's you know that green tree, for example, is um, this place. It's not. This is like not even done. This is barely. This is really new. This isn't even like a week old. This map, um, so it's pretty new. But anyway, just an idea of a setting, more or less. And yeah, let's go through here. And look, this is a placeholder. One of the first things I actually did on this was that was this thing. This is the guy walking around, just really basic, right? The combat's not even like super. I didn't want it to be super boring, so it's sluggish right now because it's like recording software is making the computer chug. So let's just not do too much combat because it's just 6 foot sprite. It's just a placeholder name, right? And so this is like the human story. Also, there's a bit of a graphical problem where see the water has animation. It makes it go chug, 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 chug. Not even with the recording software. It's just a problem with the thing as the recording software. But like, yeah, there's like a cave up here, whatnot. It's basically just kill these guys, more or less. I mean, kill them, but whatever. You see it? It's just making the thing chug. It's not optimized very well, so it's one of the problems with RPG Maker MD is that it makes everything it's all spaces like this recording software, so it's really chuggy. It's not like this playing, which is like slow motion skills, but yeah, so it's trying to make combat not so like suck, you know. But there's the first cave in there, and the bases go through here, and it's just there's like treasure chests and stuff, and you fight the monsters and they go through there. That's the first map. There's a lot of combat, which is really slow and it's kind of bad to record it, so I won't bore you with that. But yeah, wait for this guy to go because combat's really slow. But boring or not. But yeah. Anyway, so this is the first. All the enemies kind of respawn. So this guy. And but there's other areas besides this. This is like this is the starting area. And there's like this temple place, and here like just get some lore and whatnot. There's like the mages draw from this like artifact thing underneath this temple. This is like this is like a big meteorite crater basically. This whole place. And these guys are just enemies that are kind of messing things. It's supposed to be like a blood mage down at the bottom of the making things messed up, but making the water all messed up. And yeah, I wanted this like to be a big world in a sense, but like the RPG Maker MV can't really handle the scope of what I wanted to deal with, so I kind of really scale it down a lot. This is like scaled down. Um, Also, it's easier to develop when it's not so big. For example, there's a little crater in the center of the crater here. It's like this little well thing, not well thing, but there should be like NPCs. You know, there's some sage dude here, and talking about stuff, and yeah. So it's just chug, 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 chug. But I want it to be somewhat interesting the starting area, so it's not like some boring like glade somewhere. It actually has some type of character to it, right? I've been trying to think about like what makes a character, right? Like, you know, what is character? What are the interesting things about it, right? Because you make all these really lame, boring areas, but if you don't have enough character to it, no one wants to play it, right? Nothing memorable about it. So I'd want to make it somewhat interesting, somewhat, you know, like, ooh, what's this about, right? So different levels and things. So it's just um, like a lot of good games that'll combine ideas together. Now this is the temple place, it's all scaled down, but these things are up here. They actually open up to a big hole. You can actually go down. That'd be the entrance of the first dungeon. You go down there. There's like a mages and stuff. Like, oh, the stones are all messed up. Then you go down further. There's a dungeon. There'd be like a blood mage. You go fight him. He's, oh, I'm corrupting the waters, being evil, right? But yeah, I made these pantheon of these gods. You know, just basically what would people be worshiping and stuff, right? Just go from the top all the way to the bottom. You know, to get the and there's basically eight gods and one like supreme god more or less, right? They all have their different things and whatnot. For example, this is supposed to be Magifar. It's not done yet, the city, but it's just I want to get the scope down. So this is like the capital of this whole starting area more or less. And this is it's not super fast because I didn't want like bang 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 bang. You're in the city. I wanted traveling to take a little while. For example, like this is just the starting zone more or less, right? And it's not even done yet properly. See, these little things aren't polished up. This is just like really rough copy. This is like basic broad strokes of the map. When I get even further, it's like not even done properly, like yet. But well, it's like these rocks and trees are a new addition. But things take time and slow. It's not like here's an example. I wanted the game to pace a bit slower. It's a bit of a journey, you know, and that type of stuff, right? Like I wanted it to be like Baldur's Gate first off, but then it was like it was too ambitious. Didn't have enough resources to do that, so I had to scale it down. And here's almost this town. This is just like a scaled down version of it. Green Tree. This is like I named it. That's the one. You go into here, and this is Green Tree. This is basically more or less of it like. The buildings aren't even done yet. Like, you can't even go inside these guys, right? But like, here's a sign. Where is that? Let's go up to this one. It says the Shining Emerald. You know, you read stuff like that, right? And you walk through the streets. It has characters like, oh, this is a poor town. You know, it's like the guy's not taking care of it. This is a starting area, right? So you know, like this is like the Weather family, heraldry banner of the Timberfield. You know, it's some backstory, right? You get some idea of the character. You learn about like certain places and stuff like that. It's more like I want to make a world, not so much like, oh, you gotta fight the big bad evil dude. It's like, you know, you just walk around and you get to explore, you know, you feel you're part of the world. You're just some dude, you know, not some crazy, god being super magic person. You're just like a dude. It could be like a mage dude, you know. It could be like, okay, mage dude, you know. I don't be like magic, but magic wouldn't be all that like powerful. It'd have problems, you know. It'd be like costly, and it's kind of vague, and not super crazy. So it's like, because some magic and other games kind of overpowers everything. It kind of sucks. So it's like, yeah, and so I just want to make a good balance of things. Right? For example, like the gods would have to like, actually give a shit about what their worshippers are doing, or else they wouldn't like they get in trouble more or less, right? So kind of, you know, the gods are more tangible, you know, they do things, so it's everything's all balanced out. For example, right? I want everything to be kind of like a balance. So if you don't like the one thing doesn't like super crazy powerful, just make the game more fun, you know. So you don't think, oh, I have to be like this, and you know that'd suck, right? So that's the whole idea. And you know, this is just some shops and some places, you know, just get the general idea. And yeah, what else? I think I missed something. Oh, so whatever. But yeah, there's some caves up here which don't have enemies. So this is like, oh, here's a good idea of how big this area is, more or less, right? For example, it's kind of like a rectangle, but not really. It's kind of like a, you know, some. I'm gonna go up to this next cave up here, and it's gonna take a while, right? So it's like, I imagine there'd be like not just rocks and trees and things, but there'd be big monsters, there'd be dudes and encounters. Like when you're wandering around Baldur's Gate, because it's like a wilderness, right? And you just kind of mosey around out there, like, screw the plot, I'm gonna go adventure and explore, right? And you can do that. I want, you know, there's certain zones, like World of Warcraft, right? We have like, it's kind of messed up in certain areas, but like ideas of it, but at least like each zone is like, you say you're a human, you're like an elven forest, and like, whoa, what's that zone over there? It's all crazy and evil. I'm not strong enough to go there yet, right? That'd be like the Duskwood, so you kind of like adventure around and, you know, get your own little zones. You know, you get to explore whatnot. For example, I want to just be dark, this cave here, but it's just, you know, that type of stuff, right? It's just kind of light up. It's all prototype. You know, I just want to get the basic silhouettes, you know, the basic broad strokes of the game here. So this is like, um, I just want the game to be explorable. You know, like the first Zelda game where you're going through and it's just like you just explore shit. It's like here you go, here's a sword in a cave, dude talking to you. Like what the fuck do I do? It's just adventure, you know, just go around and adventure. This is what I want to do in this game. Like kind of like Zelda, but like an actual believable world. Says some random elf dude, da da da, here's a monster to fight. Like there's no bad guy. It's just you gotta find bad guys. You know, like in the dungeon. Just explore. Oh look, there's a blood mage doing no good underneath the temple place he started in. Just you can attack him if you want, and it's like you get to learn about the area, almost like an interactive like world, you know, an interactive like atlas of like of a setting. This whole game was more or less just kind of made to or help. The idea of this game is kind of just to have like a living, playable thing for my world, you know, so you can kind of just delve into it. It's like reading a book. No one reads books these days, you know. So it's like make a video game out of it. Like you know, here's the world. Here's an Agaball, and here's a continent. You could be a human if you want, and, you know, and play stuff. It's pretty basic. Like this game engine's not meant for the craziest, ambitious thing, right? So it's just like this is kind of boring. It's just like more caves and stuff. It's actually this is like only like 1/3 of the cave, but I think you get the idea. It's more like that, but like goes up like twice. But it's a big cave. It's a big cave. So last 1/3 of it, you know, so you can kind of use your head and I don't like bore you to death here. It's more the same. So there's some other caves, and they're basically like that. But I'll show you how big the area is. More. This is how big each area would be like to play in. Because I want like the game not to be like, oh, you got like, you know, Zelda is like it's kind of contrived. Like it's kind of fake in some ways, where it's um, it kind of you have to do like well, later games were, but the first game was kind of a lot of games, the whole point is that some games are too linear. They kind of just, you know, like this game is kind of linear. Like you have to do like certain zones to like level up. Once you're in the zone, you can do whatever you want basically to level up. It's kind of like Warcraft, but like World of Warcraft, but not in a sense. Where it's not like here's the bad guys, go fight them. It's I guess it is kind of like World of Warcraft, where you kind of adventure hero dude. And it's like here's the bad dude. I guess it is like that, but it's also like Baldur's Gate, with like out like all out like the plot. Like here you go, you have to do the plot. So it's you just do whatever, right? That's what I wanted to do, but I don't have so much resources, so I like have to make things a bit more abbreviated. I don't like to do it, but it's just kind of that's the skinny end of the stick basically. And there's like another cave over here. We get way over here. It's like a keep on going. But this is a big world. This is only the starting area too. This is like the zone one. Imagine there'd be like 5 zones, well, actually 6 zones. There'll be 5 country zones like this, right? And like from like 1 to 100 leveling, you know. And basically, I played the original World of Warcraft, and like, I like the leveling progress. It was slow to level up, but it meant something, you know. When it took about 2 months to level up, and I'd want that same. If I made like a game that was actual proper game, you know, proper resources, I'd want that type of leveling, you know, that type of slowness to it, that type of progression, you know. And you care about your character back, you know, and stuff that you do then, you know. But like here, maybe a little bit, not like super fast, but you know, you can get to level 45, I guess, because it's you'd be in the city, you'd be like learning about shit, and you'd be you know, just you'd be killing all the bandits and going in the sewer and stuff, and there'd be like a copper mine outside the city. You got to deal with that, and there's some bad dudes, and you just gotta go around and be an adventurer. You know, that's the whole idea of this game, just to be an adventurer, and like kind of like the original theme and why the original Legend of Zelda was made, because just the guy was like, when I was a kid, I like finding caves in Japan. You know, it's kind of just adventuring. You know. So that's what they'll simplify the idea down. Instead of like, oh, you have to be like a dragon slayer and you have to save the world. You don't have to save the world, you just have to live in the world, right? You have to just enjoy the world. That's the whole thing of this game. Um, and I want the world to be like harsh in a sense, you know. It's not like, oh, fantasy fairies and things. It's like magic's expensive, and it's not depressing where it's like you can't enjoy the game. Where it's like, fuck, I'm so depressed playing this game, you know. Like I want it to be like vibrant, but also like um, you have to respect the game. You know, you can't just go oh, la la la, and you won't hold your hand. You have to actually try. You know, but it'll be worth enjoying. So this is like the cave. You know, this is like anyway this area. This is like the other cave here. This is an idea how big the cave is, and that's the final room down there basically. And go around. And so this is just like, I imagine this would be all filled up with monsters, a bit of a backstory here, you know, just all that type of stuff. You go around. See, it's kind of like a dungeon, but it's not. You know, it's kind of like it's a big ass cave, but it's not like super duper crazy, unbelievable. It's just like, yeah, some bad guys live in the cave, and like usually most stories, like you actually look in history and stuff, it's pretty mundane. You know, it's like people exaggerate all these crazy things. They're like, oh man, he's super evil. I'm super good. It's like everyone's just kind of just average a lot of the time, right? It's like, oh, this is a big cave with it's a super dungeon. You know, it's like, no, it's a cave. You know, like a big cave with some people who just had the wrong side of the law. You know, and you're like maybe going to a town down like maybe Green Tree, and you're like, oh man, there's some bandits in the mountains or something, right? You know, gotta sort out those bandits, you know, that type of stuff, right? This would just be going around and or you could just not even know about it and just find out on your own, right? And there'd be bandits or whatever. They'd be like, oh, all mad at you, or just whatever, right, you know? And yeah, so this is like whole idea is this is like I want every zone too to have like some type of like theme to it. For example, like in real life, different zones, like for example, over like say New Brunswick, right? They're like fishing and lobsters and shit, right? And like Saskatchewan's like, oh yeah, we farm, and like we're like, yeah, we have trees. So this place would be like, yeah, a big mage creator, would be like, oh yeah, we have like magic. Like wow, and they get, you know, that's like, you know, so they do pretty well. And then there's a little province beside them, like from Green Tree, be part of it. It's like, yeah, we're poor in logging, you know, we're a logging province. There's that, you know, the other one, Majafar province, would be like, we're a mage province, so we have magic. So it's like has different themes going on. Like every zone that you level out around in is a level up in is like 2 provinces put together. So you have like one's themed one way, like mage people live here, and one's like logger people live here. So it's kind of like 2 things, you know, put together, like 2 different themes. So it's somewhat interesting, not just like it's just a mage place. It's just, you know, it's kind of it's okay, but you know, it kind of I've learned a bit better to, you know, not just do one big thing. And sometimes it's better just to have a simpler theme. But I'm just trying to fill in the gap here because this game is slow, and I'm like brrr around and go super fast to like see up the video, because that would be like wouldn't really tell you how the game's like. You know, like this is basically, let's see, there we go. Here's Major Far again, right? We kind of did a big circle around, and this is just that's how big the kind of like the starting area is. It's kind of like this how big, so it'll take you a while, you know, to like not it's not the starting area, but it's like the starting zone, your first zone, you know, the big place you go around in. like Elwyn Forest or Dunmerle if it was like World of Warcraft, right? But it's a single player game, so you get to learn about the world and shit and actually do stuff. There's a cave down, like a prototype one, right? So you know, just whatever. Just it's not quite done yet, but whatever. That's you can't even get down there. It's just kind of, oh, there's a cave down. Maybe we gotta go to their zone. How do I get down there, right? So then you go over here. I'm gonna go to the other zone, which is down there. So it's like this is like a zone divide. For example, this would be like level 1 to 20. This whole zone here, you know, you have the Age of Fire, the place with the mages and stuff would be like 1 to 10, kind of. And the place with the trees, it'd have like bandits and shit, so it'd be like, you know, 10 to 20. Just more or less, right? The levels don't really matter so much as like a level 1, or level 10, I'd say, right, is about 3 times or 10 times, like, as crappy as a level 10. For example, some games, right, they get, like, you can't even touch the top end levels. Like, you'd be naked and invulnerable and, like, a couch potato, like, top level, and no one can even beat you. But this game, it's like a bit different. So it's like you level up, yeah, you get power, but you gotta still watch out. Like, you know, like things are deadly. For example, like if you get hit by like a weapon like 3 times on average, you're dead. Like, you know, it's like, or 4 times, you're dead, right? So it's like combat's over quickly. You know, this is supposed to be like this is the other zone here. This is supposed to be where the city is. Um, I'll just show you the city really quick here. This is supposed to, this is like, so still basic is, and I think, wow, yeah, what's this? So this is Vorath. This is the big crazy capital of the humans. Like every single province and zone. This is like the seat of the empire. This is modeled after kind of Charlemagne. He's like this guy who had like France and Germany back in the day, like way back. It wasn't before Germany. It's called the Franks, and he had like a mixed kingdom of like German and French, and it was like, you know the Knights of the Round Table, you know, like the Camelot and stuff. Well, that's like an Englishified version of the actual like kind of history of Charlemagne. He had this sword called what the fuck was it called? Some type of name. It wasn't like, is it like Lucky or something? I don't know. Like, it wasn't like that, but it was like Happy or something. I can't remember what it was called, but it was some weird name like that. And it was like supposed to be like a magical like Excalibur. So the English people like talked about like, for example, there's 12 knights, for example, in the Legend of King Arthur. Those guys are actually like the 12 paladins, the loyal people of Charlemagne. And Charlemagne was like king dude, he's like this crazy adventuring guy, and that's where paladins come from actually, from Charlemagne. But yeah, it was you know, so it's like, but he was really successful. He had this big army of like French and stuff, but it was kind of back in the day. So this is like there's a whole bunch of districts here. This is a place with like, it's all silhouettes. Back to the game again. This is like where the big castle will be. This is like the center of the heart of the city. So it's like, this is supposed to be where the castle is. It's just silhouettes, right? It's really basic, and this kind of everything's all plotted out, kind of just really basic. This is like a big donut going around here. Like it's just a big circle, right? If you imagine a big circle going around, that's how big the area is. And each little district here is like a part of the city, but they're all the same size, but just designed differently. For example, this one I breezed through, which is the district of commerce, the trade district, right? And go counterclockwise here. Like the one over here is if I go on, is like the rich district. There's the peasant wall on the left there to keep the peasants out, and they go over here, and it's like, I imagine it's kind of blank. I haven't really done much work here, but this is like where the rich people would be. You know, they'd be all like, you know, like the higher end of you know, the rich people, the upper end of the class, right? High class, right, or upper class, right? And this is kind of blank. There should be buildings here. Here we go. There's kind of like a bit of a ward, kind of a gate district here. It's like there's like this is a really silhouette. That wouldn't look like this. It's really basic. It wouldn't look like this. This is just kind of get the basic the silhouette down, like the basic idea. So it's like, here is like basically like a ward in a sense, right? Basically like, it's kind of designed actually how real castles and things were built. For example, like this is like the exit of the city, right? For example, you'd come through here, the entrance, or where is it? You come over here, right, through that gaping hole over there, right? And like, this would be like an empty area where basically if you're an invader force, you'd be like, oh my god, people could shoot at you, like on walls. But yeah, but then like imagine if the city went down the history route. Like, for example, this is like a little private sectioned off place with like a manor down here. I'd go over like where the rich people live, the rich and influential. They have their little district of town, private. As a lot of towns did, like back in the day, like, history-wise, they had like their own little like where the rich people live. It's pricey, it's private. Gated communities, that type of thing. So this is like they have like their own little walls built upon existing walls. So it's like they have there's this big. I don't want to like. It's kind of slow walking around. So it's just imagine there's a bunch of like there's about 3 layers of walls. There's like that one I showed you. Oh, here that's like 2 layers, right? And then there's this bigger outer wall. Basically, this whole zone, like this big kind of area, kind of like a box. It's like kind of. See down here, which is like the wall, and it goes all the way over to the edge of the screen there. And down there is the park, the green place. Not really made yet, but this is kind of like an abbreviated box with like a rounded corner. If that makes sense. This is what the zone looks like. And you go down here. So this is kind of like you don't have to go in there, but it would be a gate up in that area there. That's like a gated community for rich people. This is the park, right? This is just like this would be trees and shit here. You wouldn't actually be able to walk on like on the green things. I think this would be like maybe like buildings or trees or something, or someplace something nice, I guess. I don't know, but like the general idea of this is just like a nature place, I guess. It's the park. Not much to say there. There would, maybe some sneaky dealings going on, but it would just be the park. Again, kind of mundane, but like it makes things that are valuable feel valuable. If you have mundane things, if everything's all super crazy, amazing, awesome, nothing really feels crazy. Remember that movie, The Incredibles? It was kind of weird, but they had this line, it's like, if everybody's super, nobody's super, makes sense. Like, if everything's all fucking crazy, amazing, Dragon Slayer, fucking God mode, no one gives a shit, because it doesn't feel grounded and relatable. Like, I want to kind of base this off of history so people can, like, relate to it. Like, wow, that makes sense. Like Game of Thrones and stuff. Oh, this is the Mage District. This is where all the mage shit will go down. This is like all the mages and stuff. Like, they're kind of influential. I imagine, like, to get some backstory on magic and like priests and stuff. Like, for example, there'd be these. There's 9 gods, right? And one of them is called Cronus. He's the creator. He's the main god, right? He's like the super duper crazy god. He's like, and then he had made these other gods, 8 of them, and they have different things. Like, for example, Kalos is the god of war. Cthulhuos is the god of chaos. Thea is a god of like nature and stuff, right? And they all have different portfolios, but there's no god for the god of magic, arcane, right? Think of like arcane as like a different type of like energy. Like, for example, like there's like the spirit world, which is like you have like spirit shit, right? That's all the priests, they're all focusing on the spirit energy. Like like the dark world off of Zelda, or it's like a different thing. It's like 2 parallel things, like all the ghosts live in the ghost world. That's the kind of idea, right? And the gods are kind of like spiritual, but like there is a god that does deal with magic. He's Cronus. He's the creator, right? But you can't actually worship him. He doesn't give a shit. So he's just like these mages. They're like, wow, we're different from the priests, right? We have this powerful stuff. It's almost like it's like fire, but like imagine if like fire had like electricity in a sense, where it's like a different type of energy. That's kind of what magic would be. Like, there'd be like fire magic. There'd be like air magic with kind of like lightning and shit. Just like, but it wouldn't be like spiritual hokey pokey shit. It'd just be like it'd be almost like a science to it, right? This is the docks district, by the way. There's nothing really going down here. There's a bit of water down there. That's where the ships and shit come in. It's supposed to be like docks down at the bottom here. But anyway, like the mages, it's almost like it's a physical. Magic would be a physical thing in a sense, like almost like electricity. Like we have batteries and shit. Like that'd be like if you can put like imagine if you could have like a battery of fire, right? Not like a lighter, but like imagine if like lightning, but like fire, right? You can kind of store it up. Like, for example, a mage just be like a big battery in a sense, right? Like you're like fuck, you could really drain them. Maybe cast like a few spells, or you can have like a staff and shit, right? And some hokey pokey items like a sword or some crazy shit, spells and stuff, right? And that make the mage last longer, right? And then, but the priests are all about about like spiritual shit, right? Or like the spirit world, which is different. Right? They have like spiritual fire and nature and shit because they worship a god or whatever, and they're like, say it's a god of war, you get like you get war magic or some shit, right? You basically like worship the god, right? And here's the temple district, and yeah, so it's like the mages and the priests are kind of equal power in a sense. I didn't want one to be stronger than the other one. So if you're being a mage, you're kind of like a scientist, right? It kind of feels right. And if you're like a priest, you're kind of worshiping these gods to give you the powers, right? But like one's not stronger than the other one; they're kind of even. But like for example, there's a whole bunch of different types of magic, right? There's like fire magic and water magic and like shadow magic, these type of things, right? And they all kind of do different things. They all exist. Like for example, like light magic would be like a laser beam, right? Versus like a light, like spirit stuff would be like healing people or something, right? You'd be like, whoa, you know, there's different takes on elements. For example, there's like 8 elements, I think, and there's like, for example, there's like light and dark and fire and water, but they're called different things. For example, like there's like light, or there's light and dark, and there's like order and chaos. There's also like gloam and furor, which is like um, furor is like, you know, and gloam is like, the water comes from, would be like related to gloam, and furor would be like fire, and like the god of war, for example, like Kalos, would be like the god of furor, right? So all the gods are aligned different elements. So say you wanted to be like worship, you know, war stuff, or you want to be like a chaos, you worship certain type of god, right? You get certain type of thing, and like I wanted the availability of these powers to be like different too. For example, like say a fighter, like you're really available. You can just fucking muscles and shit, fight, beat the people up and shit, right? And it'd be really easy to actually like, you know, learn how to be a fighter. You just kind of get buff and learn the sword, right? Here's the military war. Here's the military district, and you know, it's easy, but it's kind of like it's not as flexible. Like you only can do so many things. For example, you can like the Vikings, the berserk. I looked into the berserkers, and the Vikings were like, they believe in this thing called Odor, which is like, it's almost like odor, but like with a th. Imagine that. And it's basically like, it's like divine inspiration. You know, you know, berserkers are like poets and shit too. Like they're like, they had divine inspiration not on the battlefield only, but also like poets and shit. You know, when they weren't fighting. And yeah, it was actually like, you know, Odin wasn't actually a strong like god. He was actually like a wimpy, like kind of like skinny spaghetti arms, but he had this thing like, you know, older. It was like a super duper wisdom, divine inspiration shit, right? And like what I wanted with this was basically like a warrior could tap into that basically, right? They could be like almost like a monk in a sense. They like tap into this like type of energy shit, and as they progress, they could actually deal with mages and priests and shit by being like a berserker, you know, like being divine energy, almost like karma. It's a different type of, you know, energy, but they could, you know, a good, it's like a counter spells and shit just by willpower and shit, right? And you know, that type of stuff. So they wouldn't be like fucking obsolete like later on levels. Like, a lot of games have them. So how do we make the warrior good? But they don't figure this shit out, right? But like a priest, for example, is like half and half, right? Like they're kind of half available, but they're kind of half flexible, right? They can do all these support spells, but there's no like they're not super duper like it's not easy, but it's not hard to become a priest. You know, it's kind of in the middle of the road, and their flexibility is also middle of the road. They're all equally powerful, like a warrior dude and a priest dude and mage dude. They're all kind of equally powerful. You know, like physical. Oh, so this is like a big ass tower. Imagine like Statue of Liberty, but like a big like round, like remember like Durlag's tower, like a big round like great lighthouse statue clock. Not, it's not a statue, but it's a big ass tower, right? A big lighthouse tower called the Tower of Ambition. It's basically like, you know, kind of the kind of emotional role of like the Statue of Liberty or something, right? Some type of big like giant great house, I mean, like little lighthouse thing, right? Anyway, so like priests anyway, they'd be like middle of the road. They're kind of easy to access the power, but not really. They're kind of middle of the road to access power, but the power's kind of not really like potent in a sense. It's kind of potent, like you can heal people, kind of. You can resurrect people, but you're not really like, oh, nuke to do, blow up the thing, reverse time. You know, you're kind of half flexible and half, you know. So it's like that's the priest, right? You have to worship a god. You know, you have to like, for example, if you have like a Bozethius, or yeah, Bozethius, the god of like shadows and shit. He'd be like, you know, you kind of be restricted to that, right? You kind of, you know, do shadowy shit, right? And like, you know, death and like night and shit. But your portfolio would be a bit limited, but you'd still have like power over those things. So you're kind of half flexible. You kind of do something. You can strong arm certain things. So you're kind of flexible, right? More flexible than like the warrior dude at any rate, but you know, it's kind of hard to come by. You know, the power somewhat. You gotta, you know, but the mage, good to the mage here. The mage is like, he's like, imagine it's like really fucking hard to like get power, right? It's actually like people, oh, I'll just be the mage in the beginning. No, it's actually like hard to be magical, right? Because it's like there's no god to give you these power, and it's like you have to like do something that's not natural. For example, like imagine like when the person like a normal being thing player is born, right? They're like most of them are like our physical energy, like, and about a third of them are like spiritual energy, right? You know, like the spirit of the people, and but mostly muscles and things, right? But there'd be like no magical inclination. You have to like earn that, right? It doesn't come naturally magic to people. You have to kind of delve yourself into it. You have to kind of plunge yourself into that like artificially, right? But you can kind of be you have like a potential to become magical, right? But you know, you have to learn this shit and just do it. It takes time, but once you do, and since you don't worship any god, it's usually quicker to specialize. It's how much fucking time it takes. Like, for example, if you see the element of fire, like magical fire, you cast like fireballs. If you're a really good mage, you cast a fireball. Like that'd be like super duper crazy mage, right? But mostly you'd be casting like wands and shit and like magical arrows and you know some shield thing that's like a leather jerkin almost. And this is also imagine this is a coliseum here. This is like a big like coliseum of Rome or some shit. You go in here and like fight people. Oh yeah, and you know. And and also there'd be like this big like death pit underneath it, and all the blood and shit would go in there, and just there's some death god be underneath it, so the creepy people can still have a place, to, you know, like kind of like a temple, but not really, like for like the crazy the death cultists, whatever, right? And like or underbelly of the city. It'd also be a big ass sewer under here. This is the commons, by the way. This is where all the poor people live, kind of, you know, and yeah. Anyway, so a mage is like this like dude who is or woman or whatever that's the hard it's hard to become a mage, but once you do, you're really flexible. You're still powerful as like a cleric or a you know fighter dude, right? But you're more flexible. You can like kind of teleport. You can basically have a whole bunch of tools at your option. Like you can like cast like some type of fireball, or you can freeze them with some magic, or you can, you know, make a distraction or an illusion. Right? There's more options available to you. There's more like tools you can counter things with, and but you're not like super duper crazy like the god of everything. Like like no, it's like kind of limited. Like once you're out of spells, you have to like you kind of give like a period of time. You're like kind of front end loaded in a sense. Like you might pew 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 pew, but then like fuck, I have no like I gotta wait a bit, you know. And so you gotta like maybe like shoot a bow or some shit, or like maybe fight your sword, you know, or be a rogue or something, right? Or you can just space it out and cast like weaker little like pew pew magics, you know, of your you know, and kind of just space it if you wanted to, right? Sustain, is, you know, but I wanted the mages to not be super powerful like in other games. And basically, the later end mages is ridiculous. The basic everything else sucks compared to them. So anyway, here we're back again. This is the commerce. This is like the you know frontier. Anyway, so yeah, this is that's the city more or less, and this is the gate district. It's just like a big ass like think of like a big like kind of like a big square walled thing or whatever. So imagine this mirrored, right? This area here, and it's like the gate. This is just mirrored pretty much, and that's the gate district. And yeah, so this is big caravans and shit here and that type of stuff, right? Anyway, so one like it's kind of like a balance, like a trio balance, for example, of like physical, you know, like rogues and warriors and shit, and like there'd be like clerics, you know, different gods and things like that, and mages like could specialize, like an ice mage, like a fire mage, like a lightning mage, an anti-gravity mage. That'd be um, like an anti-gravity mage, or gravity mage would be like, for example, like the void, for example, right? There'd be like chaos, for example. It would be like you'd be shooting like dark matter and shit, or gravity at people, like the opposite of air, which you kind of you know the void it kind of sinks. So it'd be like things like that, right? They're kind of like real world equivalents of these type of things. For example, like a shadow mage would be like shooting like basically opposite of light, almost like dark matter in a sense, where you basically like you know how fire it can like shoot light into the darkness. It'd be like a darkness would be like collect light. Like it'd be like a shadow that doesn't need like a thing in front of it in a sense. It'd be, you know, almost like a laser, or shadow laser fire thing. Anyway, but yeah, it'd be like, some things would be a bit weird, but it'd mostly be like ice bolt, fire bolt, that type of stuff, right? So mages are pretty much what you know, but you know, not like super crazy. Kind of like a bit mundane. You know, everything's a bit more mundane. but like there'd be a big heavy bias towards real world, for example, armor, right? It'd actually be like how it actually was. I really might. What I want is like this, like basically life with like a bit more interesting bits tacked onto it, and like history and all kind of the best hits of history, all making this world kind of Game of Thrones, but like not so crazy, with a little bit more, you know, just a bit more fantasy elements to it, but not like unbelievable. But a game to enjoy, right? To play and whatnot, but to be believable too. So here's this zone. Here's like the upper end of this zone place. Go on the border here. This is like the second zone you'll be able to get access to. The city is actually a bit more, um, what is it? Harder. It's a bit more like higher up level, but you know, this way a little bit, right? They're practically the same level as these ones here. This is like, this one's not even finished yet. I'm just showing how big the zone is. This is like near the end of the video, pretty much. But yeah, so I want this game to be like uh, an introduction to this world, you know. So you'd have like read like a lot of like books and shit, and you'd read like people talking about stuff, and you'd hear a lot about like, oh man, like what's another one? Like the Emperor's Arm, the big ass, huge fucking castle on the east side. They're holding off the undead invasions and shit, right? You're fighting the undead over on the east, and it's like hardcore over there, and it's like this crazy. It's all, and there's like Ebonmore would be like the capital over there, kind of. Not it'd be a big town. It'd be a big town over there, right? You hear about that, and now there's like fighting, and there's like this like type of there's like dark iron, or not dark, but there'd be like cool things you wouldn't have access to this game, but you'd allude to it, you know. You hear about it, and this is to the left. There's a prototype of the zone I showed you about before. It's not. It's just a prototype, but earlier version. So you'd hear like all these like things, world building, right? You hear all these world building things, right? And then if I go up here, this is like the other zone here, for example. Like here's, I'll show you. Let's show you where we are. There's that town, right? Alright, and then we'll go over here, and then keep on going. And yeah, so so I want this world to be just a game more, not so much about like, oh, we gotta kill bad people, more like just explore a world, you know, like do it the hard way, like actually explore and shit, and just don't really have a plot, just kind of. I guess the plot would be you kind of becoming a god, like the whole series, because people like mortals can be like, you don't have to be, you can just optional, right? But it's like the top and the end. Like there's like mortals, right? Then there's like immortals, which are like, if you had to rank the gods in power, for example, right? There'd be like about 6 ranks. There'd be like creator, which is 100, and there'd be like god or goddess, which would be like 10. This is the scale of power, right? This is, numbers really matter. And then there'd be deity under that, you know, which would be like 1, which is kind of like a servant of a god, you know, like for example, say like Kalos, the god of war, hate, and rage. Like those 3 things, there'd be like a god of just, there'd be a deity of war, there'd be a deity of hate and deity of rage, that type of stuff. And every god has little deities under them, like lieutenants, you know, to help out the god, right? And those would be deities. Those would be, you know, 1. You know, the gods are 10, or god and creators 100. Underneath a deity is a demigod, which is like basically a champion of a certain god in a sense, right? For example, like say a mortal is like anyway, I can jump ahead of myself. They're basically like they help the gods, like these you know, they help out the gods. For example, say you're a really good warrior, like you're like a super duper. Let's say like Chuck Norris, just to get the point across, right? Chuck Norris would be like a demigod, right? Just fucking ridiculous, right? But he'd still be mortal, right? You could still kill him. And Hercules is the inspiration for this, right? Hercules, he's kind of like this crazy. He's actually technically like a son of like a god, but just ignore that. Just he's immortal. He can do god things. He's fucking nuts and crazy, beating the shit out of shit with his bare hands. That type of stuff, right? It's just crazy, right? Below a demigod, before I get that, a demigod is about like 0.1, so we're getting like, you know, down by like 10 every time, factor of 10. So below a demigod is an immortal. Like think like a lich, you know, think like a lich, or like a some type of thing that's like a super. They don't have to like live for. Basically, somebody who can die, but like has an infinite lifespan. Like for example, they can reincarnate too. Like they can die and be something, I don't know. But they're basically like a super duper crazy being, They're not like oh, it's supposed to be like a little town down there called the fuck is it called? Something like Happy Foot, Harry Foot or something, or Good Port or something. Fairport, that's the one. So it's a halfling town, but you know, halflings live south. Anyway, but yeah, so they're immortals, which are kind of like just like super duper, like basically, if you get to like a level 100, a little bit beyond that, you're basically like in the realms of like a really accomplished hero. You've done a lot of things, maybe killed a dragon or two. You know, you've done some things, right? You're quite the end game kind of being that you could become immortal in that sense, right? And like the very end of the game, like fucking super like leader of leaders, you'd be maybe contending to be like a demigod, right? For a player, highest a player can get is a demigod, right? To be like start off as as a mortal, which is like 0, and then you can reach level cap, but you can kind of become like an immortal at 0.1 of a 0.0, hardly fuck all of like any type of divine essence, and then you become like a demigod, but you have to like team up with like a god basically. You have to like, get kind of specialized a bit. Yeah, or you can just be a badass and be like a god of like, and like karma, which is like under like the designation of Kronos, like the creator. Like if you just don't believe in gods and shit, you can just if you try really really hard, you can become like a demigod of like with like karma and just whatever, right? But it's not really happening, pretty much. Rare case. So fucking shouldn't be in. This is like a place I should be going around here. This is supposed to be where the city is. That like go to the right there, and that type of stuff, right? So you could basically like a demigod is like it takes like 1 in 10,000 people. Say this is like World of Warcraft, right? Like 1 in 10,000 people, like for example, who become like a demigod of a player, right? It'd be like 1 in like 1,000 would be like an immortal, people who start the game and finish it, I guess. Or maybe not like that, but maybe like more than 100, I don't know. But people who get to end game, so it's just, or actually progress into end game, your level cap, that type of stuff, right? So it's different. So even if we cap, a lot of games have this problem where you get to level cap and you're fucking bored. You're like, what the fuck do I do? So then you get like, you beat, then I wanted to make the game so it's like, it doesn't really end. You can just kind of, it's kind of mundane, but you don't really end. For example, like say like a fucking god comes down or something, or not god, but it'd be like a deity. He comes down, like, oh, fuck shit up, right? Kill him or whatever, fight, and maybe that make your 100 immortal dudes that come around like players, and they would be like, oh, I'm gonna fight him, and maybe you can if you kill the deity of say some person that some other god doesn't like it favor, and maybe you can become like a demigod if you try really hard enough, like that'd be the end game pretty much, right? But these would be some crazy fucking nerds. Like these would be like, for example, in vanilla World of Warcraft there's Naxxramas, this crazy fucking undead like hell place, right? And it was just like fucking called a guild breaker. It's so fucking ridiculous. This kid just fucking didn't give a fuck. Just like less than 1% of like 1% actually cleared Naxxramas, like in vanilla. This is like the craziest. Nothing's ever really been like that ever since. Like there's maybe like this crazy dragon thing in EverQuest that fucking all the world ganged up on and barely beat it. But that's basically like fucking nuts. Like like this. So like these crazy people who I know exist, like that would basically be like the precipice of being like of like that would be like the end. If you can do that, you're nuts. But you technically I guess beat the game. I don't know, but like not really. But you've reached like the end cap of the end cap in a sense, right? You just get more and more power and influence and run the show basically. That's what's left, right? And guard your throne and defend your title, that type of stuff, right? And but that you're kind of like you're kind of rift walker. You go around and just fucking be like an avatar or a champion of a fucking god and be like, fuck, you're basically like a god, right? You're basically like a deity or some shit. Not quite, you're kind of like the servant of a deity, and that'd be the end of the game, right? And this would be the end of the, well, if this is like an MMORPG, that would be like your ultimate crazy, you'd be like the super duper nerd, basically, right? But most people, like, not be, like, I don't want to make a game where everyone can reach the end, but it's good to have people like aspire to think, oh shit, this guy's walking around with some fucking orichalcum fucking sword, fucking looks like gold, but fucking it's the best metal, hard as fuck to get in there. You had to fight like a deity with 100 other fucking immortals to fucking beat him, Mount Olympus or some shit. it'd be epic, you know, like some crazy shit, you know, and like that people actually be worth playing, and they'd be like, wow, I'm gonna try that out, and that's what I want to do. So this whole shitty game here, the shitty little sprites and the crappy little trees and the rocks and the not finished bullshit play. This is all just to set the world up, you know, just get people thinking this thing. Right? That's the whole idea. Like World of Warcraft started with like Warcraft 1. You know, they're all like retconning the shit of that now, so no one gives. They all be, it doesn't really exist, kind of. But it's just established something, right? It was like the first step. I don't want to make shitty, like, as, you know, Warcraft 1 was okay, but I want this one to be better, because I don't know, it could do better, right? So, it's, yeah, so it's just kind of an interactive atlas, which is like, maybe we'll get some ideas out of this to continue onward, but there'd be like an idea to, you know, to keep on going, you know? But, yeah, so I'm coming to the end of the tour here, yeah, this is Paradise Falls, and yeah, this is basically I don't know, that's the ultimate game so far. It's kind of a long video, I guess. I don't know, but um, I just basically get all the ideas out there, you know. From I didn't even show the inventory, right? It's kind of like basic, but like, for example, if I go to the equipment here, right, the abilities aren't even done yet, so it doesn't count. But for example, like there's like strength, constitution, intelligence, perception, agility, charisma, that type of stuff, right? I want it to be like, you know, just whatever. And also there's like a bunch of look at these slots here. Oops. You got like main hand, offhand, torso. See that little mark in between like the N and the H there? Like that's just because things. It did. It wouldn't do spaces. Alright, so, I want to put those with actual photographs of, like, actual armor and shit, but, you know, work in progress, right? So we have, like, you know, the main hand, the offhand, the torso, you know, like, people, like, this is, like, chainmail would go here, the gambeson, like, the padding shit would go here, your shirt would go there, and you have, like, you know, your two legs, so you have, like, your leg mail 1, leg mail 2, or some shit. You have, like, your leg pat, like, your paddings of your legs, you know, about like leg gambeson, like the padding so the arm isn't cheap as fuck, and use your pants to go underneath that. And it's actually like based off of history. Use your helmet and shit. You know, there's your you can put like a you know like a toucan or something. There's your mask, you know, or some shit, right? I don't know, but like there's your shoulders, you have two shoulders, two arms, like wrists and shit. You can read that stuff, right? So it's like your foot, like this is like your socks or your shoes rather, you know, and the waist, neck. You have you know like 10 fingers, right? So you know, the accessories is like little like accessories, little doodads, right? Little it's a big trinkets, but not really, you know, whatever, but more maybe whatever. It'd be like a little like I don't know, fucking little like what the fuck are those called? Like a little not trinket, but like a little fetish or something. I don't know, like a little voodoo thing, or whatever, right? Some miscellaneous thing gives you power. And that's the inventory, and yeah, the whole thing of like also like the stats go from like 1 to 150, like 1 to 150. But you start off like when you're rolling your stats, like you know, starting your character, it's like 1 or 10 to like 110 on average without like racial modifiers. But yeah, so it's like Dungeons and Dragons, but like a little bit more room for some wiggle room, you know, some not so weird and contrived in some areas. This is like a bit fucked up over here, like that little don't the right side. I wanted all that stuff on the right to go on top of the vine. It didn't really work. Here's some moving plants, and they kind of just there's like a room over to like the right, and it has like a chest not like done yet. But anyway, but and that goes over there like that, whatever. But yeah, so this is basically what I have so far. So yeah, like this is the game, and I just want this to be an interactive world, so you can actually like set up my game worlds. It gotta start somewhere, right? Like, it doesn't have to be super crazy, amazing, awesome-o, 100%. It just has to be like playable and fun, interesting. You know, it's not really like. But I don't have I have like the weapons, kind of like somewhat functional, but I changed the system a little bit, so it's actually like had some problems. So I have to redo the weapon system and the armor system's like whatever. But like, yeah, I had a mod that not crap. I had a somewhat mod. The combat, for example, is modded. It's different. Right? I had to add some things to make RPG Maker not so suck. In a sense, actually, it's actually like Chrono Trigger in a sense. Oh, whatever. Anyway, this is the end of the video, so bore you to death here. Those guys are temporary. But yeah, see you later. Take care. Have fun. This is Matthew or with Amnesia signing out. Bye for now.